Good morning. Today, talking about when I started in this business. When I started doing this work online, I noticed two things. The first trend, there were a lot of big companies who were following a corporate model, and they had a huge number of teachers who they would employ to carry out this task of teaching the lessons, line them up with students, follow the curriculum. And, it worked to a certain degree. But I realized at that point there was a kind of a lack of opportunity to build a connection. Yes, the students could return in some of these, with some of these companies, they had programs where they went on for a longer time, and that was a good opportunity to build rapport, to build a relationship between the teacher or coach and the student or coachee. But it was limited. You didn't have the opportunity to contact each other outside of the lessons, and the lessons were very scripted, very focused, so there was limited opportunity for a kind of freestyle scenario. Yes, there may have been opportunities with more open-ended questions, and that was helpful, but that's really where it ended. Then on the other side of the scale, I noticed one day when I started joining these groups where you could really go on and be connected with anyone, suddenly there was a complete freestyle conversation. I remember one conversation with a guy and his student, and he just said, "So, what's going on? What's happening today?" And expected his student really to talk. He just said, "Okay, talk." And that was kind of mind-blowing at the time. I was like, wow. And it showed two things, I guess. One was the teacher's confidence in the process, and the other was the fact that the student would work it out. And I did see immense potential in that. And I thought, well, actually, that kind of mirrors more accurately a real life scenario where the initiative really is down to you. It's up to you to take the initiative, to lead the conversation or to steer the conversation in a way that you want, depending on obviously the circumstances and the context. But still, that was really kind of eye-opening. But I did think, what if the student's just not confident, she doesn't know what to say, there's then no lack of guidance. And yes, this can be a great experience, a great thing to do on occasion, but what about in the next lesson? Do you just do the same thing? So there was a kind of a lack of structure, and I then began to appreciate some of the constraints that you can put into a lesson. And this is something that I talked about in my interview with John Fotheringham. We talked about, it's a bit like, I remember my creative writing lessons and writing things like poetry, where suddenly these sort of rules and constraints give us some guidelines. We can then work within them and push the boundaries of those to make real progress. Whereas if we're left completely unguided in open space, it's like we'll start floating around aimlessly. So for me, I then began to work on putting them together. I was like, okay, I'm going to take the best of both of these worlds. I'm going to put them together. I'm going to combine structure with freedom. And that might sound like a bit of an oxymoron, but it's what I strive to do, depending on the student, the context, to give them a certain amount of structure, but to then within that to allow them freedom as they would face in a real life situation, to encourage them to take the initiative, to really to guide them and show them that in being more proactive with their own studies, their own choice of material and the way that they approach and learn the language throughout their days, throughout their time, throughout their lives, throughout the course, throughout their lives, then that is something which is going to show up more. It's like they are really stretching the muscles. They're not being spoon-fed the material, which can then go in one ear and come out the other. And that may be good for short-term passing an exam or something. But when it comes to real-life application, it's just going to fall short. And when suddenly they find themselves in a situation that doesn't conform to the way that they've been taught, the way they've been studying, suddenly they find themselves lost again, falling short. So, hope that's been helpful. That's really a rough guide to what I've noticed when I first started and how I vowed to change it in my own practice. If you're interested in this and learning more and want to work with me, you'll find a link in the comments down below. Please do get in touch with any questions. I'll be happy to talk to you and with you about your own goals and what you need. See you soon. Bye for now.